The day after our successful shakedown sale, our first sale in 2 years,
We're gonna do our first tack here.
the Caribbean went into lockdown and our cruising plans were crushed. Now there's a glimmer of hope. The islands are beginning to open up, but hurricane season is coming fast. It's time to or get off the pot.
These are the tales of Moab.
Here they come, babe. Where are you going for all this food?
We're going to Puerto Plata. We're going to a couple different stores. We're going to Jumbo and we're going to La Serena, which are the big supermarkets. Alright, we've got the rental car, Bill and I. Danilee is picking up some empanadas.
Eggs and tomatoes and peppers and ham and cilantro and chicken and cheese and a whole lot of love.
La Serena. We got a little carried away, guys. Joel's gonna be upset. I'm spending a lot of money on food. Alright, back in the car, back in the AC. That got a little intense there in the parking lot. It's so hot out. So far I spent about 18,000 pesos, which I'm pretty sure is around 350 bucks, which is about the middle end of my budget. Joel said between $300 and $400, which is pretty tough to do. Feed 2 people for at least 2 months for $400. So I just hope you realize that, babe. I'm gonna spend a little bit more money. We're headed to Jumbo next.
Did you find everything you were looking for?
Not quite. There's one thing. I wanted to find evaporated milk with cheese.
I feel like I just had a front row seat to watching you guys conquer Puerto Plata and the grocery stores.
Do you feel like you conquered?
I feel like well, let's go to the tail.
Let's see the tape tail. Oh my god, we've got miles of paper in this car between the two of us. That's
Okay.
impressive.
I'm pretty pleased.
I feel like I conquered, but I also feel beat. Like, whoa, let's not do that again for a long time. The home stretch, we made it back. We're on the Moye, which is the dock, and we've got a couple kids coming to pick us up in the dinghy. Hey!
How'd it go?
It went great. Bought the whole store. Oh, hey, sweet girl. How was your day, Lola? How was your day?
We're basically just now into hurricane season, but it doesn't get hairy until August, September. So we still have about a month that we can push it before things get real dicey. What we're gonna do is just flip a coin. Golf guy is heads, the cup is tails. We go. Tails, we stay. That way you guys can't make fun of me or anything. tails, we stay. So don't blame me. The coin never lies. I think it's probably for the best. We're gonna stay another season. They say if you're here in Luperon for 2 hurricane seasons, it's fine. If you're here for 3 seasons, you're never going to leave. So now we get to put that little adage to the test, because this will be our 3rd bloody season here in Luperon.
Don't listen to Joel, not for a minute. We were never leaving this decision up to chance. It's too important. And for me, I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a risk-averse person. Like, at the bare minimum, the risk has got to equal the reward. And for me, the risk of sailing to Grenada didn't really equal the reward. I mean, the reward was going to be a hell of an adventure, for sure. Grenada's more developed. There's a lot more stuff that we could buy, restaurants that we could go to, fun that we could have. But here's the thing. Grenada has been taken out by a hurricane. I don't know what year it was, but I know that they were taken out. And Luperon never has. Luperon's kind of a weird hole-in-the-wall place that I don't think a lot of people know about. Bottom line is the risk did not equal the reward from me.
All right, well, since we're not leaving, I'm just gonna pretend that I'm sailing. Woo! But in all seriousness, as serious as we can be, the other reason is that it would totally be an opposite approach to what we've taken the last 2 years, to just send it after we pulled our boat out and spent a year in the boatyard, all that money, all that time trying to do things the right way. It would just seem back-asswards, if that makes sense. We're trying to focus now a little more on long-term. And our old mentality was just send it, go for it, don't even worry if tomorrow comes, you sink the boat, oh well, it was all worth it. And that's what got us here, and I love that. And we're trying to find a balance between the two. This would be fun for right now. You guys would get some great content. I'm sure we'd get stuck out there somewhere in a hairy situation. It'd be epic. But we want to be in this for the long haul now. I don't know if anybody's noticed or not, but 2020 has been a bit of a crazy year.
That's a good point. So another factor that played into our decision making was this whole COVID-19 situation. I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's this massive pandemic going on, and a lot of islands have kind of shut down. Now they're sort of starting to open up. The DR is one of them. They're opening up for tourism like tomorrow. But it seems counterintuitive because now the cases are worse than ever, right?
The point is that there is a resurgence. So we were able to get a list of all the places that would be open to us. However, we might set off and then they'll close to us while we're underway, and we'll be kind of in between 2 places.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all know that schedules are good, and anyone that's successful probably lives their life by one. But it's kind of a weird thing on a sailboat. We've learned this lesson quite a few times. Lastly, when we sailed to Luperon, we were on a tight schedule. We had airplane tickets purchased, and so we pushed some pretty terrible weather. So sailing on a schedule is really puts you in a tough situation. You can pick when you want to be somewhere or where you want to be, but you can't pick when and where. If you do, you're just gonna make bad decisions probably and do something hairy. So it's a balancing act, because obviously you got to have goals. So the only problem here was our schedule was like a month, and the weather windows are so few and far between right now. There's no doubt we were gonna push some pretty dicey situations. So we had to implement what we learned, and we sensed that, oh whoa, this is some red flags going off. We got a pretty tight schedule, and we're about to just send it and try to be somewhere at a certain time. Yikes!
One last, but definitely not least reason why we decided not to push it is that we want to have a certain degree of confidence in our engine before we even leave. We know that things are going to go wrong as soon as we go out there, because they always do, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to leave without having confidence in the fact that our engine is running properly and cooling as it should before we even leave. So we've had a lot of issues with our exhaust elbow that we've addressed. We've learned a ton about our exhaust system, what it needs to protect from, what it needs to do, how it needs to function properly. And there's one last thing that was just brought to our attention that we really need to check on, and fingers crossed that we haven't already screwed ourselves.
Before we move forward with any future ideas with the engine, we need to confirm that we didn't totally mess things up when we started it. So what was brought to our attention was that when we shut the engine off, all the water in our hose that runs out of the water lock muffler up and along, you know, the hole and then out, all that water is going to backflow back into the water lock muffler. And the issue was that now that we have our new elbow, which isn't quite as high, that water lock muffler can fill up, overflow, and then just back up into the engine. So what we're going to do is take the elbow off and the hose. Now if water comes out of the hose when we take this off, then we know it backflowed into the water lock muffler. It's not big enough to hold the water, and that it rose up into the elbow and possibly got into the engine, and then we're smoked. So we're just about ready to do that test. Take a look. This is the hose right here that if there's water in it, we haven't done anything since the last time we ran it, so if water really did get up in here, it should come out. Alright, I saw a couple drips, but I mean, water didn't come flowing out of here. So that is a great sign.
And we were inclined to give the previous owner the benefit of the doubt. I would hope that whoever is installing a water lock muffler would do the calculations, the volume of the exhaust tube to make sure it could handle that backflow when you shut off the engine. But what we're concerned about moving forward is when we're in rough weather, offshore seas, big waves, and we turn the engine off, that water that's in the water lock muffler will be sloshing around, and the lower point is to go back into the engine than to continue up the exhaust and out of the boat. So we need to look at some sort of a solution to protect against that.
Oh wow. So I put this towel in really far into the water lock muffler just to see if it was completely full, because it's hard to see the water line. It's dark and we shined a light, but I put this thing all the way in over a foot and it's not wet at all. That's a great sign.
Alright, so I found a drain plug on the back end of this water lock muffler, and I'm just going to take that off right now and see how much water comes out. So I'm loosening the plug. There, it's dribbling out. Maybe I can show you. Can you see any?
Here, take it and show him.
Yeah, okay.
Wow,
so
I thought it'd come flooding out of there.
It's draining out.
Oh, that's great! After recent developments, we were really afraid to look into our engine and see what happens. So, boom, we have not made things worse. Now what I have here is a professional drawing to try to illustrate. We basically have three ideas right now moving forward. One of them is going to be to put a little stopper valve. You can see I drew that. So a check valve in between the engine and the water lock muffler that only allows water to go one way. Another idea is to use the drain that Michael found. There's my arrow. And right when we shut the engine off, just open that drain and drain water out. That's going to be inconvenient when you're underway. Yeah, so wait, it was mainly only two ideas.
Well, and your third idea was to run the impeller dry before we shut it off.
Right, a lot of you viewers mentioned that idea. So basically wear it dry and then kill the engine. That way there's no water in there that could possibly back up into the engine. Let us know what you think. Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. We have, anyone who's wondering, we have a Type LP Vetus water lock muffler. It's TKO tested. That's the kind of water lock we're dealing with.
Okay, so up next, though, we just got the rebuild kit in for our toilet. We have been working on our toilet. We had two toilets. We've been working on them for ages, for like 6 months. We haven't had a working toilet. We gave up on the one that came with the boat, the Groco, but we're committed to this Raritan. But we got a rebuild kit for it from Greg, who works at Raritan. He's the VP of Operations. Our friend Danilee put us in touch, and he sent us this kit free of charge, so we're really grateful for that. So we're gonna be putting the rebuild kit in the toilet and crossing our fingers that we're gonna have a working toilet next week.
That would be nice.
That would be epic.
Yeah. Shout out to Russell. You know who you are, Russell. Thanks for watching. And everyone else that comments and subscribes, and patrons and donators on PayPal, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, why not do so? At least we don't have a pickled engine, and we're really not hitting a huge roadblock.
Yep.
So.
And even though we won't be cruising per se this hurricane season, we do plan to get out there and do some sailing, some day sails.
We are going to do some adventuring and some sailing as well.
Yeah.
You know, the toilet episode is coming up, but we're going to make it fun.
I think that'll be an adventure too.
It's going to be an adventure, but, you know, we want to do the real adventures. We want to do some snorkeling. We want to do some sailing and, you know, spear fishing, riding on the backs of stingrays.
That's my favorite.
Surfing on dolphins, things like that. That's what we're aspiring to do. So.
Right. So stay tuned.
And give us a thumbs up if you like the video, a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Oh, we like thumbs ups a lot better than we like thumbs downs. Okay, bye.
These are the tales of Moab. Over here. Over here.
Come on, Willie. Pay attention. Focus.
Moab!
Lola dipped.
How come you're so quiet?